I want you to get together.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Across the Pond, the podcast that dares to uncover the mysteries lurking beyond the veil of reality. From government cover ups and secret experiments to hauntings, cryptids, and UFO encounters, we explore the unexplained and the conspiracies that keep them hidden. And today we have with us Paul Stubbs from Understanding Conspiracy. You might recognize him as the clown and Nephilim guy. He's done a whole book about that podcasting tour. I've had him on my own show 10 months ago now, so it's been a while. Um, thank you for coming on, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me. It's 10 months has flown by. It's gone so fast. Like I was just talking to you off air, wasn't I? But it's like I published it like a year ago. Just did like a round of like podcast circuit visits, just non-stop. But every week, just talked to like hundreds of people, and it's just been a wild ride since then. It really has. And I've just finished recording the audiobook to kind of like finish off that first volume because I wasn't happy with the first quality of the first book. I felt like when I was reading it out loud, I was like, "There's so many problems here. This does not flow right." This, because when it's in your head and you're typing it, it sounds great, but when you say it out loud, it's like this sounds terrible. Like so, I've kind of restructured the whole book now to kind of flow as if it's me speaking in a more of a way. And so the second edition has also been uploaded to Amazon as well now, which has replaced the old. So that's kind of finished. Volume 1 is done. I don't have to look at that ever again. The audiobook's done. That's being, ready to go. So I can just focus on the second book now. And hopefully I'll just start doing the podcast circuit again in like maybe a year's time when that's published. And I never thought I would be talking about clowns so much in my entire life. I did not grow up thinking this would be my life, but this is my life now. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, doing podcasts is like it's the new press tour kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, now insert.
Yeah. So, we kind of have a similar topic in mind for today. Not clowns necessarily. I'll spare you that for now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of related. Like, I saw you. I saw some clips that you did on another podcast about the history of the circus and freak shows and carnivals, etc. And I mean, most of us know that the circus it's kind of a shady business. Like the age-old trope, like I'm running away and joining the circus. So they're all runaway kids. We've all seen the Pinocchio film, of course, where joining the circus is a great idea. That,
what
you
dark
definitely.
film that is.
Oh God, yeah, but it's supposed to be a kids' film. Like,
Yeah, no, I don't.
Sure. Yeah. And especially the big name in all of them, of course, P.T. Barnum, who is a very controversial figure, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, circuses are. I mean, I didn't really know much about them before I started doing the research for the book, to be honest. I've never really been a guy who's like cared about clowns or circuses, it was just I pulled on a thread and it just kept unwinding forever, and I ended up going into the circus realm. And, to summarize quickly, what I learned is that most of the early circuses, the first, what we call a circus traditionally with a tent and clowns and animals, were all Freemason led, every single one of them. It was all completely just a Freemason affair from start to finish. And in America, it's quite, like I said, an itinerant nature to it, where it's like a coming and going staff continuously, and it's like a traveling troupe. They're never stationary in one spot. The people kind of live and breathe and live with the circus. That's their life, and it's and it definitely breeds like a charlatan-esque type of culture where it's like rich businessmen are kind of just doing it to make money, and they kind of a shady character. They don't really care about entertainment necessarily, but more about making money. So yeah, the staff were definitely not treated very well throughout the process of being in the circus. But I think some people were just born to perform as well, so it was a good opportunity for many of them. Like I said, running away and joining the circus. Where else could you go? And but when P.T. Barnum got involved, it was actually quite late to the game. He was a 60-year-old man when he got involved in circuses. Prior to that, he was like just a con man, a pure con man is the only way to explain it. He had like I think it was in New York, he had like this weird museum of curiosities type thing, you know, and it was just full of crap he'd stolen and gathered from all over the earth, you know. And he'd like give it amazing little like descriptions as though it meant something or was something mystical and weird, you know, and he just covered this building full of stuff. And he had many controversies. One of them was a good example is he basically sewed a monkey head to a fish body and advertised it as having a real mermaid on display. Things like this, you know, and I think even like Charles Dickens came to have a look and all this type of thing. Like,
yeah, they did at the time.
Yeah, influenced quite a lot of famous people, you know, but it was all just one con after another. Quite famously, P.T. Barnum was the guy who's been equated with saying the phrase "is a sucker born every minute." But it turns out it actually wasn't him saying that. It was the prosecutor presiding over a court case he was involved with, where basically he had faked having a giant skeleton, like a mummy of a giant. I think he made it like paper mache or something. He made it have something very basic and silly, you know. And he's saying, "I've got a real giant skeleton, like mummy on display. Come see it at my museum," type of thing. And he got sued by another guy who claimed he had the real mummy's body, the giant mummy, and he stole the idea from it and has been stealing his profits and thunder. But this guy over here really dug one up, you know, but his is fake. Like P.T. Barnum's fake, mine's real type of court case arose. And the judge was like, "This is absolutely ridiculous," and just threw the whole court case out. It says, like, "Stop wasting my time," type of thing. Yeah. And that's where, and then it was him who said there's a sucker born every minute, like over this idea, this concept, you know, that people are falling for this crap. And it's just, his life is just punctuated with stuff like that continuously. Before even he had this show, he ran a lottery in Northeast America. I think it was like Pennsylvania, maybe. I could be getting that wrong, but it's that region just above New York. And he like New England region, you know, that type of area. Yeah. And he basically ran like a local lottery. But then the local parishioners and the church started going against him and were running to pass a bill to make gambling illegal. And he, in revolt to that, he created a newspaper where he did nothing but rip into all of these people and like just completely like lambast them every week and just make stuff up about them and call them weirdos and losers, basically. Just completely like, and he ended up being sued for libel and slander and all this type of stuff. And the bill passed in the end, and he had to close up shop. You know what I mean? So that's when he created this other idea, of like a fake display of curious items and all this type of stuff. And he got involved with like a group of people who were kind of like a freak show situation, performers, you know, a troupe of performers in a way. And then eventually incorporated them into this museum situation. So he was really the person who kind of fostered the idea of there being like a side show to the main event, the people, performers of something, to kind of buffer up his museum in a sense. You know, come and see the bearded lady as well as the fish mermaid head thing, you know, the monkey fish. And it's that type of thing. It's you know, come and see he had it's like a very loose relative. I think it was like a nephew, maybe like a second cousin nephew type of situation. And he was a very small person. He was like 3 foot tall. And he basically offered his cousin or sister or something like that. Is he still with us? Have we lost him?
No,
he's there. Okay.
He's here. Don't panic. Don't panic. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, he basically he got this little person basically, and this person obviously had something genetically wrong with him, but he said, "Join my circus." And now his I think it was his. It must have been his like sister-in-law or something like that. I can't remember. Very loose relative, you know. But they were poor and desperate, and he was like, well, sell him to me. You can come join my thing and be a part of my little troupe. And he trained the little boy up. He was only young at the time. I think like 5 years old when he joined PC Barnum. He trained him how to perform, and he was a really good performer. And people loved him, and he called him General Tom Thumb. That was like his stage name, named after a character in a book written of the same time of a very small person who lived in a land of giants. So he's kind of here's General Tom Thumb, But he was actually, funnily enough, he died. I think he had of a stroke at the age of 40 or something like this. But he died a 33rd degree Freemason with full honors of the Knights Templar highest degree type of thing. and he was introduced into the Freemasonry through P.T. Barnum, who was a member of the Odd Fellows and obviously a Freemason as well. And the Odd Fellows are an odd group of people. And the Odd Fellows, if you look at the list of people who were involved with being a member of this particular fraternity, they're all world leaders, so kings, princes, senators, presidents, prime ministers from all over the continents, or everywhere. I mean, primarily all white, the Anglosphere type world, and the European sphere. That's generally where Freemasonry is held, But they were all either kings and rulers or musicians and actors. That's who they have in this group of Odd Fellows. What an odd mix of people. What an odd blend of characters. What have kings got to do for fraternizing with Charlie Chaplin, for example, or Burl Ives, or just and P.T. Barnum, the guy who runs the circuses and has a freak show, And I wonder what if they're all just actors? Every single one of them are performers, including the world leaders. Maybe these people are just in the business of cultural creation and they have a role to play on the world stage. I don't know, because if you're getting into the idea that the whole world's controlled by secret societies, then it just seems odd that world leaders are mingling with actors, primarily, and they're on the same level,
We saw that during the was it the beginning of the Ukraine war? Was it Ben Stiller or something taking a picture?
I think Sean Penn went over as well, didn't he?
Yeah, all kind of famous actors, standing up on their soapbox and preaching to the regular people, go help Ukraine, go donate, even though we are worth millions. It's your money, just like Opera and the Rock, in Hawaii, we are dedicated to donate. Was it 10 mil? Both worth Opera's worth billions. The Rock is obviously worth hundreds of millions. But we are dedicated to donate someone else's money.
Yeah.
Well, isn't Zelensky himself an actor?
Yes,
he's a performer. He's a comedian, right? And
he's a comedian,
it all kind of makes sense when you go back into the history here. It's always been the case. They're all in one big club, and they all have roles to play on the world stage. And I think P.T. Barnum was just as equally as a part of that as anyone else. Even Albert Pike himself was an odd fellow, and it's kind of, they're all strange bedfellows, But like I said, in terms of circuses of this time period, P.T. Barnum, he was. He is the guy who created the 3 Rings Circus. So, his little stationary show was good and all, but he wanted more. He wanted to go bigger, So he teamed up with Barnum, Bailey, and Bailey had the animals, and Barnum had the freak show, the side show, and together they kind of put this big performance on this show, and he created the 3 Ring Circus. Barnum says it needs to be bigger. I want it bigger and more grand, I want 3 rings with crazy stuff going on each one at all time, and this big pop-up tent. And I just don't think it's a coincidence that 3 interlocking rings is the logo of the Odd Fellows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he put it into the circus. He put the symbolism straight there into the circus itself. So it's always been the case, because at the time, and I think Barnum was involved with this as well, 10 circuses in America all teamed up together at once, and they put on a giant show. I think this is in maybe 1880 something, maybe just late 1800s, something like this. And they put on a massive show called King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. And we're talking like thousands of staff members involved in this show. 10 circuses, you know what I mean? Circuses were not small. Like, that's teams are huge. And they put on this massive show where they recreated the grandness of Solomon's court. And they're all dressed in like Solomonic robes and everything and headdresses. Everyone was dressed up to the nines as though they were living in this time period of King Solomon. Animals everywhere, elephants ordained in gold and jewels, and giraffes and lions. Or, you know, it was just this crazy, huge spectacle beyond belief. You know, like you couldn't believe seeing such a thing. And every single one of them was a Freemason who owned these circuses. Every single costume was created by a company called the Henderson Arms Company. It's not around anymore, but then it made all the costumes for Freemason halls, all the little bibs they were, the aprons, the diamonds, the necklaces they were, the regalia of Freemasonry. That company made it all. So, Freemasonic run company paid to fuel and dress all the staff. All the backdrops, all the props, same thing. A company that makes all the props and companies for the Freemasonic lodges made all the props for this show. Everything was a Freemason affair. Even the artwork was made by Barossi Coralfi, who was a London member of the Freemason lodges, and he was a famous artist in London at the time as well. He was a Freemason. The whole thing. And Freemasons love King Solomon. They're obsessed with the guy. They literally are obsessed with recreating Solomon's temple. They build all the Freemason halls in the form of Solomon's temple with the two pillars, Jachin and Boaz, and all the rest of it. You know, they're obsessed with him. They equate him with being like the first Freemason. You know, something of a sort. And Hiram Abiff, his architect, is the one that they do rituals allegorizing. You know, if, for example, to be a third degree Mason, they have to recreate the murder of Hiram Abiff, in which two men accost him and say, "Tell us the secrets of how to build." And he says, "No," you know, and he has to die to take his secrets to the death. That's the symbolic thing that the initiates have to realize. What you learn here, you take to the death, just like Hiram Abiff type of stuff. So, you know, they're obsessed with Solomon and everything about the temple building. But there is a Jewish myth involved with all of this, which I'm sure the Freemasons are privy to, which is that King Solomon used a magical ring given to him by the angel, I think Michael, to summon demons and use them as like builders for his temple. And in the whole book, I think it's the Testament of King Solomon or something like this. I can't remember the exact book now. I'm blanking here, but you can go find it on a cursory Google search. It's very easy to find. But the myth goes that he basically summoned a demon, asked it, "What's your job, and what angel presides over you to keep you in check?" You know, and he says, "Then go and do this for me," basically. And it's just a book about him talking to demons, basically, using a magical ring to do such a thing. So King Solomon, Freemasons love him, obsessed with him. So if you look into Freemasonry, well, only the worshipful Grand Master of a lodge is allowed to wear a hat. It's traditionally a black top hat. It can be any shape hat, really, but traditionally it's always a black top hat. And they'll tell you, even on their own public websites, the black top hat represents the crown of Solomon. And the only one man, the leader, is allowed to wear it. No other member of the lodge can wear a top hat or a black hat or a hat of any kind in the presence of the worshipful Grand Master. And it's because it represents the king, Solomon himself, the master mason, the worshipful Grand Master, you know. And it's no coincidence that the ring master of a circus was a black top hat. And King Solomon himself was the ring master who used it to orchestrate the demons to build his temple. And the ring master of a circus orchestrates the clowns, which are an analog for Nephilim, disembodied spirits of demons, to build his temple. So the ring master is doing the same thing. He puts on the show with the clowns by controlling the ring. King Solomon uses the ring to control the demons, the clowns, to build his temple. So it's just, so basically circus have always been Freemasonic lodge rituals, analogs, just on a grand scale with a public spectacle behind it. And we're just not supposed to realize symbolically that's what it means. It's a secret, you know. It's esoteric, as they say, but exoterically, it's just a bit of fun for the kids, you know. But esoterically, these are deep symbolic rituals going back to Solomonic Freemasonic lodge rituals. So when P.T. Barnum got involved, the circuses were already doing this anyway. He just incorporated the Oddfellows symbolism into it while he was at it and added the 3 rings interlocking and all this type of thing. And it's kind of, he just popularized it in a big way. And like I said, introduced the whole freak show aspect into it. Is a much more to that aspect of freak shows and the people involved in that? Probably, but maybe not so much. I'm more focused on the clowns and the origin of the clown itself and how that got involved with circuses, you know. But yeah, the freak show is definitely a P.T. Barnum like injection into the process, and it's kind of, is it still around anymore in modern circuses? I don't live in America. I don't really know. Is it? I can't imagine it would be anymore.
I don't think it would be, would it?
I don't think so.
No, not really. Mate, I think
It wouldn't be
maybe.
PC these days, would it?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking like that's been like relegated to the realms of pro wrestling, actually, because pro wrestling has a comes from the carnival, of course.
Yeah.
You know, the local strongman competing against, you know, like just Joe Nobody. And then eventually they found out like, hey, like we can make a lot more money if, you know, if we script it and, you know, make the people actually believe that, you know, he can win. And like if everybody's betting on the strongman to win and he loses, then, you know, we're making actually a whole lot more money. And then, you know, like the theater aspects came with it and such.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a good point, because circuses at the time were kind of the only form of entertainment around during this time. There wasn't radio or television or anything. There was books and prints, but not everyone was literate. You know what I mean? It's not like it was if the circus came to town, you went, because there was nothing else to do. That is the entertainment for this month. You know, that's how it basically was then. That's the big thing. Everybody's going. Everyone's going to be talking about it. If you don't go to see the circus when it comes to town, then you've missed your year's worth of entertainment, I suppose. Is that so? But today, I mean, we're saturated with, you pick your poison today. What do you want to do to entertain yourself? You know, and we have television as well, and obviously the internet and social media, and many ways we can entertain ourselves today. So the circus kind of has dissipated into obscurity in today. Shriners kind of took over circuses. Modern circuses are still primarily run by Shriners specifically. And, you know, they say they do it to raise money for the hospitals, but I've looked into it all, and it's all tax dodging, shady business. Funneling all the money into parties involving drugs and prostitutes and for the Royal Order of the Jesters. And I've honestly, I've wrote about it in the book. It's sadistic what's really going on there with this type of thing. But Shriners have traditionally kind of been given the circuses from the Freemason fraternity order. You know, it's kind of right, you're going to deal with the circuses from now on. We've got other things to deal with. That's why you've got the Illuminati music industry. They got involved with every other industry that's out there now, you know, and they're inserting everything, the clowns into that thing now, you know, and taking over that aspect of entertainment. But the circuses that are still around today, like I said, they're all run by Shriners, and every Shriners cult has their own clown section where they have to dress like clowns. And symbolically, what's an Arabian themed fraternity doing dressing like Western clowns? It makes zero sense whatsoever until you incorporate my theory into the matter, where it's kind of, well, they're actually channeling demons basically, to get to the point. You know, that's what they're doing. They're just practicing a very traditional ancient ancestor spirit worship culture practice, which is you dress like things to channel the spirits of things. And we're just not supposed to know that. That's not what we're supposed to think they're doing. Exoterically, it's just a bit of fun for the kids. Esoterically, well, we're channeling the spirits, disembodied spirits of the Nephilim for power and fortune and information and anything else, you know. So it's dark. It's a dark world, man. But like I said, entertainment's changed. Circuses have shifted and changed. The circus today is the clown world we live in. Everything's entertainment to us now. No one takes anything seriously anymore. Everything's a meme. Everything's just a
pretty much.
Apathy is
thinking
abounds.
like the connections between like clowns and hospitals. You know, the most famous one, of course, the Ronald McDonald's houses. You know, where the parents of, you know, like very sick children can stay, or whatever, you know, all charity, of course, still run by McDonald's. So take that with a bit of grain of salt. And here in the Netherlands, you actually have, I might have mentioned that like on our show as well, although it's 10 months ago, I don't know. The cleaning clowns, that's that's really as a separate entity within the Dutch hospitals, but especially for the kids, like sick kids. They dress up as clowns and make the kids feel better. Like I believe Robin Williams has done like a movie
Yes, he
similar
did, didn't
to
Yeah, he did.
that,
Patch
I
Adams, I
believe,
think
and
it was
that's
called.
kind of
Patch Adams, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but then like with full clown
The-
regalia and
There we go.
That's it.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
one.
that one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Yeah.
the other thing, who can argue with that? We're here to make the dying kids' last moments full of laughter. You've got to be an evil, cruel, vindictive bastard to go against something like that, right? And it's kind of it's the perfect cover. They've basically shielded themselves with dying children, so you can never question it, And it's actually really pernicious when you think about it. It's actually quite sick, because the studies are in. People have done studies. Children don't like clowns.
No, they don't. They cry, don't they? They
They
run.
do not like them. Like
No.
9 out of 10 kids hate clowns. They're terrified of them. That one kid who does is an outlier. They're not the norm. They're a freak. They're a weirdo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not the norm. Like most children really do not like clowns. They recoil in fear at the sight of them.
Yeah.
And this is what these dying children are seeing in their last moments. Like, when you really think about it, it's not actually that loving and kind. It's not like Patch Adams, where they're all really happy to see the clown, and it's endearing. Like, the reality of the real life is actually a lot creepier than that. And I don't trust for a second the people who are dressing this way and doing this to children either. I think if you're a part of these organizations, these fraternities, you are dealing with demons on a daily basis. You are a Luciferian, dictated by Albert Pike himself. It's not even hidden like what you truly are. So it's kind of, I can't trust any of it. And I don't think it's fun for the kids. I don't think at all that was never the case. You can find loads of photos from like the 40s and the 30s and the 50s of like clowns holding children, the children just like pushing away, screaming
away,
with tears streaming down the face, and the parents are like in the background. Like, your child is being traumatized right before your very eyes by the visage of a Rakshasa Indian demon, and you're laughing, saying how cute, how funny, look at them, they're scared. It's kind of, people were built differently then, man. People,
but it's just the uncanny valley effect. That's all it is, because they appear human-like but are not human, so our brain gets confused and doesn't recognize it, and what we don't recognize is scary. So therefore, clowns are scary. You just need to you need to get over it. Like, get over yourselves. It's not that scary.
Every year there's an article released that says the same thing. They tell just what you said there. Oh, scientists have discovered why people are scared of clowns. Again, every year they've discovered why, have they? And it's always titled like this, like new study finds. Like, how many studies do you have to do to reiterate the same point? Oh, it's just because you can't read emotions when people wear masks and it scares people. It's like, oh, is that it, really? Or could it be that it's just ingrained into our DNA to naturally fear a predator that used to eat us? It's kind of, could it just be that it's built into us to understand that's dangerous? Could it be the slit pupils, which are a predator symbol? Only predators have slit pupils, and that's what clowns probably do on their makeup. Could it be the red around the mouth to indicate blood, like they've been eating people? Or could it be the giant red nose, which could be symbolic of dipping itself into blood while eating somebody as well? What else is it? The giant feet indicating they're giants? Is it the tiny umbrellas indicating they're giants? Is it everything? Is it the stilts that make them look like giants? What is it about a clown exactly that makes it scary? Well, possibly that we used to get eaten by giants that look like clowns. And that nature will tell you, if it's bright and colorful, danger, danger, danger. And we're no different. We're no different. Like, we have these instincts in us. Exactly, like the activists,
with their brightly colored hair and all the kinds of piercings that they do. It's the septum piercing.
Well, what kind of spirit's running through those people in that movement? You have to wonder, don't you? You know, I call them the multicolored collective just to get past the censors because, you know.
Yeah, because you can't say anything else.
No.
That's a good one. No, and it makes me wonder, like the connection to drag queens as well, because they both have like a minstrel background, of course, and now, well, I mean, not so much now anymore, but like a while ago, like the drag queen story hour, they were really like kind of pushing that on the kids and pushing, you know, the parents to accept that. I mean, I know a drag queen, like for the local radio station. I am involved with Queer Vibes Radio. You know, they're all, you know, they're good people for the most part. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I don't want to know.
Fair enough.
No, like it just makes me think, you know, like drag queens, they are also those, you know, those minstrels with, you know, like the big hair and the over the top dramatic makeup and outfits. It's kind of clown like in a way.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to say that, of course.
You're not really allowed to say that. You're not really allowed to talk about them, in fact, because they're a sacred cow in today's society, and it's kind of, you're just a homophobic, transphobic bigot if you even dare bring it up in any way, shape, or form, apparently. But yeah, you know, everything about a drag queen is today, it's a bit more extreme. It's kind of modeled after like a Lee Bowery style. I don't know if you know who Lee Bowery is, but he was a fashionista of the late 80s. I think he died in the early 90s of AIDS. But he was known for basically bold, bright, colorful dresses and crazy looking, dehumanizing type visages, like gimp type masks, or a white makeup effect with giant red lips and bold. It just, when you see his style, you know it's Lee Bowery, and he's still inspiring people today. And yeah, I definitely feel like drag queens have kind of adopted that because he's such an icon in the queer community from the past, you know, and that his style echoed through into what we call like drag queens today. And it's very, I mean, you look at some of his early artwork and what he was dressing like, he was very much like Apollo, like with rays of like red sunshine. He had a thing called Sunshine Boy as well, which he kind of went by, which again is a reference to the god Apollo, you know, and then these rays of lights coming from the thing. And it's kind of, there's a very occult undertone to everything he was doing. And he might not have outspokenly talked about it, but just the gist of what he was doing, it looked clown like demonic to me through and through, everything about it, you know. So I think drag queens definitely were inspired a lot by Lee Bowery. I think that's true. But yeah, it's, you look at the actions of these people, and like I said, they speak 1,000 words. They're trying to sexualize children. There's no other way to put it, really. And you can call it whatever you want. That's what they're doing, you know. And it's, parents are not going to, I'm a parent, you know, no. I want to swear, to be honest, but I'll just say, you know, blank off. That's not happening. You're not coming anywhere near my children. It's that type of thing, you know.
99% of parents say exactly the same thing, don't they?
But that 1% that do, who have fallen for that multicolored collective programming of inclusion and others, they seem to not, either they are maps themselves, if you know what map means, or they are just so oblivious and really believe that it's kind of, this is a love and unity movement about, you know, bringing people together and ending hatred and bigotry type people. And it's like, it's really not. That's not the agenda behind any of this.
It's a
Lee
great
Bowery,
picture of Lee Bowery.
Yeah,
this is
that's actually quite scary, that one, to be honest. That's nightmare fuel.
He's quite the charmer, I'd say.
Yeah.
From Taboo Art Showing, and I'm gonna go on a limb and say that Taboo is the name of the art show because it's capitalized.
Well, he had shows where he would like spray his own feces over people. Honestly, like his stage performances were vile. Like everything about this man was just purely satanic and disgusting, but he was venerated as an icon of the time, you know, and something people should emulate. And I think the culture creators put people like this in front of us to get more people to emulate it on purpose. So because it makes more people dress like clowns, and the more people you can get dressing in clown-like features, the more channels you're opening up for the Nephilim in the spirit world. Because that's how it works. You mirror something in the spirit realm, you're giving it permission to channel into your body. That's an ancient practice. Go to any ancestor spirit worship culture on the earth, and they'll tell you that's what they do every Tuesday on purpose for that reason, you know?
I mean,
and it's like, it's not even hidden there, but in the West, we just don't know that. And we don't think about it. We're not, it's superstitious, it's silly, and it wouldn't even cross our minds that that's even a possibility. But
unless we're talking, you know, Berserker, Ulfetnar, you know, from the Norse mythology, but then, you know, that was just like the warrior spirit and they were all on drugs.
Well, tripping on shrooms, that Amanita, Muscaria, and the rest of it, I'm sure, you know, that makes sense. But drugs are one way to channel entities and spirits. You know, clothing is just another. But we don't realize that. We don't think like that in the West. We think imagine what Halloween's truly doing. You know, when you really think about it. But there's and more of Lee Bowery, one of his signature styles there.
And just, you know, it's just the broad, like, all teeth smile. It has something sinister to it.
He's just screaming John Wayne Gacy, isn't he?
Oh God, yeah,
absolutely screaming that.
Well, I mean, if you Google search it and get up just all the images that this guy has created, or Lee Bowery-esque or Lee Bowery inspired, for example, you can see that style and his styles have echoed through to today. Still today, he's still inspiring people. For example, someone who's clearly obviously been inspired by him is, have you heard of Grebna Law before? I think she's Swedish. Or type in Grebna Law. It's Wallenberg backwards. and I think in Sweden, the Wallenberg family is actually a very rich, powerful banking family. But I think we're not supposed to realize I think she thought no one would figure that out, but she might be related to the Wallenberg family. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if that's true or not, but Grebna Law has this red and white aesthetic, very similar to Lee Bowery. And that's what she's all about. And she's obviously overtly satanically inspired as well. And I feel like the secret to the industry, fashion, art, music, whatever, take your pick, is not to have talent. But if you want to be famous and put in front of people, then just dress like a psychedelic clown monster. And you're going to get chosen by the culture creators, and they're going to put you in front of people, and they're going to put the spotlight on you because they want to make an idol out of you, because they want more people copying the way you look and dress. And they want more people thinking, this is how I need to dress and act to become famous. And as a result, you're opening up more channels because more people are emulating these people. So that's the game. That's the real secret to the industry today, because it's run by the same people around the circuses back in the day. It's just the industry never ended. The circus, it just shift, and the clowns are different today. You know, the clowns have a different role to play in society now. You know, the clowns are hidden within our medias rather than doing silly tricks around a ring.
Yeah,
you know,
meet Grebna Law. This is
Wallenberg. He's right. Yeah,
she's a charmer. It's I don't what is it?
It's a woman. I think it's a woman.
It's a woman.
I think it is.
It is a female gender. Let's say.
I think so. There's a picture of her when she was very young, before she found this style where it just looks like a very petite, traditional Swedish blonde woman. Like she's like, you know, she hasn't done anything crazy to herself yet, but she was wearing a cone hat and a pom-pom Poirot style clown outfit with some checkers on it. So the clown again was her first initial inspiration, naturally. But it's, you know, but I'm saying that style again, what would you call it? Drag is kind of a similar vein. It's they all kind of come back to the same sources at the end of it all, and yeah, absolutely. And but when I was growing up, you know, drag shows were like a cabaret thing in Tenerife. You know what I mean? They weren't like there weren't many of them. Do you know what I mean? And they did, and it was funny. It was more comedy. It was a comedy routine.
Yeah.
But today it's become something else. I don't know what it is now. I don't know what's going on now. Like, and it feels like it's a bit forced. It feels like it's being put in front of us on purpose. None of it feels organic, you know. And it's again, I'm not surprised, but I'll be surprised if we can talk about this on YouTube. I'll be surprised to see how this goes. I'm not gonna
Find out.
lie.
We will
Yeah.
find out.
Let's just do act and ask permission later and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Sure,
But
yeah, sure. I also saw that Lee Bowery. There's a picture of him where he's very close with Boy George.
yeah,
Of course.
yeah. Very much in the industry. Very much a part of it all.
Very flamboyant guy, of course. And the Gretna thing also kind of gave me Lady Gaga vibes.
Yeah, she's definitely inspired by Lee Bowery as well. Yeah, it's all kind of going back to the same thing. It really is. It's because he really was idolized as like a gay icon, fashionista, like never to be forgotten by the community type of thing, you know. And there's always homages to him in a lot of people who were part of that community, always, you know. And I can get like for example, even today, a very famous musician, still her song is being played on repeat everywhere on the radio incessantly over the past 2 months. Pink Pony Club. What's her name again? Chapel Roan, yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she dresses like a clown, white face, red hair, red lipstick, and the rest of it.
Yeah.
And she
Originally
even has
didn't as well, though, did she? Originally, she was just normal. She was just singing pleasantly away. Then all of a sudden, she shot to fame because that's exactly what she did. She changed her style into that.
And I was saying I was saying this 8 years ago. That's exactly what
Mm.
happens. You do that and you will be made famous. It's the secret. It's the industry secret. And the thing is, she has this backstory as to why she does it. And it's so pathetically untrue. It's just ridiculous. But she's like, oh, when I was in high school, all the boys used to bully me and make fun of gay people and used to say, why do gay people always end up looking like clowns? It's just ridiculous. Why did they do that? There's no need for them to do that. So she was like, well, I'm just going to do it anyway to show them. Like, you know what I mean?
Very
it's like, really?
weak story.
That's why you're doing it, is it? Like, whatever, you know. But there you go. She's channeling the same entity. And it's a transactional deal.
We have her here with the devil horns as well. You know, another icon, made really. You know, if you want to break through in the industry, especially entertainment, of course. You know, it's quid pro quo. You know, you gotta do something to get something. And if you
just run the list, can't you, of all these people who've done that? The ones who they started a career, started off okay, but then it started to dip. Then all of a sudden, they have this massive image change, and woof, they shoot through the sky. Like Sam Smith in this country.
Sam Smith, yeah.
Man.
He had a great voice, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, that was it. He sold himself, and now look at him.
Every Disney star ever.
Every Disney star ever.
This tale is all the time itself. I mean, even like David Bowie, for example. And there's a lot to be said about that guy, you know, whether or not he's even like dead, for example, because I don't know how much of an insider he was, you know, but he had his Iggy Stardust alter ego.
Yes.
And that was white skin, red hair, psychedelic colored clothing, the clown aesthetic again thrown in there. And, you know, this man is died idolized as a god as a result, you know, like the world supposedly mourned at his passing, you know. It's kind of, they didn't like, but they act like, and people did probably in a very idol worship, bizarre type way, break down and cry as if someone they personally actually knew died, when that's just not the case, because they made idols out of these people, you know. And he has now been immortalized as a god of the pop industry forever, you know. And was he really? I thought his music was crap. I thought it was terrible. Like,
it was different. It was definitely different.
But because he had the image, he had the look, so he's going to be immortalized, because they need the public to believe that's how you need to look and behave to be made famous, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's a con. It's a big con.
did it. Bob Dylan did it too. His
He whites
younger
his face up
years.
quite often. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
powdered his face for whatever reason. Even Bono has his alter ego, Mephisto. Have you heard of this?
No.
No, Mephisto, really?
Stein's all
It's-
over this one. He's all over this.
No, it's like Bono is a fucking douche already.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it's even
Yeah.
worse. You should. It's cringy to behold. It really is. But like, just type in Bono Mephisto, and there's a picture of him. He whites his face up, puts on red lipstick and everything, puts on a top hat with horns and the rest of it. He uses AI augmented reality layering, so on the screens it looks like he has a devil's face and all this type of stuff. But yeah, he whites up the face, puts on the lipstick, and does everything. He clowns himself up because he has made a deal where he channels entities into his body, and in what he gets as a result is fame. You know, but the entities get admiration, they get pleasure, they get sacrifices, they probably drink blood for them. He feeds the demon within through his own senses and gives them stuff. And that is the deal. Haitian Vodou does this. They channel the spirit of Papa Legba or Baron Semedi by dressing in a black top hat in a Freemason regalia, you know. And once they channel that entity, they smoke cigars and they drink whiskey and rum, because that's what the spirit wants to taste and feel and experience. And then as a result, they get stuff. They get a reward, power, strength, knowledge, witchcraft, voodoo, whatever. You know, they get given things by the demons. And I think these artists are doing the exact same thing. They're dressing the same way, doing the same rituals to get stuff in as a result. These talentless weirdo hacks are famous, and you know, because they do this. That's their reward, you know. And obviously there's a whole there's an army of foot soldiers who work with these demons, the Freemasons for example, who run these industries, who are real tangible people, putting these people into positions of fame and power because they continue to show allegiance. Dress like a clown is one way of doing it, you know. And it's ridiculous.
Look at the you know, the major festivals, and you know, just these huge artists and everything that goes on stage, you know. Like, tell me, you know, let's say like 9 out of 10, 99% is not rituals. Like, those are rituals.
Oh, hands down.
Like I recently discussed that on or it came up in another show, the who was that? That rapper who did the show where like people actually, you know, freaking died and trampled each other. I'm not good in the
Is it Astro World or something like that? Was it like a festival?
Yeah, Astro World. Yeah,
was that the one? Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. That was a huge ritual.
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of famous. Who was it? Have you seen the one? Was that the Wave? Have you seen that one where a bunch of people just rapidly get knocked over at once? Like a
Lana Del Rey concert.
Was it something like this? I think there's a lot of energy harvesting rituals going on for sure with these giant concerts. They definitely seem like people frenzying at the altar of something. That's definitely what it feels like, you know. If you imagine back into like, let's go back to Babylon back in the day, people like screaming and jumping up and down in front of a giant metal calf bull figure, you know, something like this. It reminds me, it's probably exactly how it was then as it is now, you know. And the festivals are quite infamous of being a place full of sex and drugs, orgies, and shifting states of consciousness. And these, you know, I think that's basically what these people were doing back then, you know, and it's just like a modern day, more acceptable break from work in summer type thing. You know what I mean? Like the yearly, what do you call it? Like a cremation of care, letting it all go, you know, becoming the wild man beast for a weekend, and then going back to civilized society afterwards, getting it out of your system. So and that's an ancient tradition, you know.
This is the official poster from 2021.
Look at that,
which is like even Astro World, like I mean, like even the O in Astro World is, you know, the hypnotism, the spiral, you know, open your eyes to a whole new universe.
Well, just go through it there on screen. You've got the pyramid. You've got what looks like a portal behind the pyramid. You've got the eyes in the hands. You've got the
see you on the other side.
what looks like walking from one dimension into another above the hands up here.
Yeah.
Got all kinds of symbols in there.
Like, or just like, just the text. Like, open your eyes to a whole new universe. See you on the other side.
Just imagine them there like that, can't you, with whatever the symbol they do over their eye. I can't remember now.
Oh, like
They're all doing it like this, aren't they, or something like that.
Someone's
but
going to
that's the most-
screenshot that. You better be careful.
I don't know. There you go. There you go. Take away. Screenshot. There you go.
Illuminati
I'm the Monopoly
confirmed.
man. I'm the Monopoly man.
You're right
What was
though.
that-
Yeah,
that
they do
movie,
tend to cover their
David
eyes
Bowie-
if to show allegiance. It's what another way of
Yeah,
doing
like-
it.
Yeah.
Wasn't David Bowie also involved in a movie where they had that character who literally had his eyes on
Doubts.
his hands?
Oh, I thought you were gonna take the Mickey out of Labyrinth. Then I wasn't gonna let you.
No, Labyrinth.
Leave
no,
Labyrinth
no.
alone.
Excuse me.
That poster though, very much like those hands were coming to get you and to pull you in. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they're
Grabbing you,
grabbing you and
Yeah.
pulling you into their world, into their vortex type of thing. And yeah, it's full of it. I mean, but if you've been in the conspiracy game for long enough, you know what signs to look out for to say that thing's dodgy. And that's full of it. It's layered with it. And when people die at these things as well, you have to wonder,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah,
really
they're-
going on at these events.
They're even calling it a stampede.
Well, that's what animals do, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
become the group
Oh, yeah.
consciousness and all stampede in one direction.
Do you remember this is a proper side tangent? I think it may be because my YouTube reels have just been throwing them at me lately for some reason. It's what they're doing, what the algorithm's doing right now. But did you guys ever watch Samurai Jack by any chance? Does that
Yeah.
take you back?
Vaguely,
Yeah,
Love
very
that.
vaguely.
Love
Vaguely.
that show.
There was an episode in there where the kids of a village had lost their minds to music, basically, and there was like an evil DJ in the woods, and they were all. The parents couldn't speak to their children anymore. They weren't there. They were like possessed. They were gone, and they would just do nothing but go to this rave every night and just dance. And it's like the evil dark lord Aku had like basically created this music to brainwash and indoctrinate children into these rituals, basically. And obviously the story is Samurai Jack has to destroy the DJ booth and everything else and break the CD to break the curse and all this type of stuff. But I think like that was a long time ago that was released, that episode. It's like in the early 2000s or something like this, maybe late 90s. I can't quite remember.
It was episode 27. I'm trying to find the release date, and it was actually DJ Stylebaiter. Was a
Okay.
loyal minion of Aku. He has pink skin, wears a torn green shirt, pants, no nose or ears, sunglasses. How are you holding those up without nose or ears? And he, this is very important, of course. He also speaks like teenager, saying words like whatever and bad. Like you gotta, the lingo is very, very important. Of course.
But it's basically saying, the music industry is there to brainwash your children and steal them from you. That's what the show was telling you outright,
Sure.
And I think for some reason it just reminded me, like, they've been telling you for ages throughout the media what's really going on, I don't think Samurai Jack is bad in any way. I'm not putting that down. I think it was a fantastic piece of artwork, to be honest. But there's definitely something in that which reminded me of this like modern day worshipping at the altar of the DJ booth type of thing. We definitely have something like that going on. And I went through university in 2014, 2011, 2014. It was very much like that then. It's what you did, and it seemed like it was never a culture I could get into, but observing it was like, I felt like I was an anthropologist, like observing some kind of like ritualistic like tribe out there doing their thing, and like saying, "What? This is such odd behavior. Like, why are they doing this?" Like that's how I kind of saw it back in the day. But there's something about it, like, and when you're in that trance type like state, you're perceptible. You're open to influence, and I feel like that's what's going on at these giant festivals. You know, they're getting you into a frenzy, getting you into a trance, and usually then they hit you with something, an ideology, let's say, or a belief system or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they end the show with a sacrifice, and then you can go home, you know, to seal the deal type of thing with blood. It's like something like that is going on, you know. Maybe I'm being a little bit I'm exaggerating here. I don't know. I don't want to diminish the people who've lost people at these things, you know. But
also, I was thinking, like, could you say that it went from like the circuses to the festivals? You know, like it used to be that you had the circus coming in the summer, and if you were like very lucky, you also had the winter circus, of course. Although that maybe of a later thing. And now summertime is, of course, it's festival time. It's when you like, yeah, as you said, like it's the cremation of care. It's when you can let go, like everyone is off work, off school, the kids are home, all of that. So like you have nothing but free time, sun's out. It's like it's become like the modern day circus, really, with the performers and the sets, and especially those bigger summer festivals. Like your set is almost like as important, set and props, like it's almost as important as the performance itself. So like could you say that it's kind of like made that switch, or like it's just it turned into what is now festivals? Like indoor festivals are often held in a tent, or just like a huge concrete box, like really trapping all the energy within it, of course.
It's the tent of the day, isn't it? A large open space, a warehouse, whatever's empty. Large, basically.
Yeah, I think taxes. I think again, times have just changed, but it's kind of the game stayed the same. The names have just changed, but the game's never changed. You know, it's always the same modus operandi. And it's this again. I guess what we're talking about here is what you call spiritual warfare. It's kind of where this is the idea that there's many methods for negative entities, spiritual wickedness in high places to manipulate us, and they kind of use what's available to them at the time. And right now, this is a assorted cheese board of opportunity for them to just pick and choose how they're going to get you. You know what I mean? There's endless possibilities. And I guess my work is trying to say, look, dressing like a clown is no laughing matter. It's not what you think. That is what I'm trying to say. Clothes matter. What you choose to dress like is actually a big, very important choice in many ways. And don't take my word for it. Look at what these tribes do. And they'll tell you it's sacred to dress like a clown. Like what we call the clown. They don't call it a clown. They call it the Wakinyan spirit for the Heyoka or something like that for the Hopis or the Dakota tribes, in the Americas, for example, or, they have many names for them. Well, every country has a name, and they call them the Wanjinas in Australia. They call them the Rakshases in India. They call them the Oni in Japan. They have many names to represent the same entities. Call them Gorgons in Greece. But they all look the same. They all have the same style, the same history, the same culture, the same. And people who dress like them are trying to channel them. That's what they'll tell you. We're doing it to get possessed by the spirits. That's what a Mudang shaman will tell you. Says, I do these rituals, I dress this way, I put on the hat, and I do the proper sacrifices to let the spirit possess me. Go to the Thayam tribes in India. This ancient, kind of pre-Hindu religion, basically. They don't even know why they do it. They just do, and they say, we dress this way to let the gods possess us. And then we let the tribe ask the gods questions, and we're the vessel for that. And then the people give the guy who's possessed stuff, and he eats the stuff or smokes the stuff or whatever the stuff, because that's what the demon wants. It's an ancient, well understood practice everywhere else, but here in the West, take it seriously. It matters, and the costume of a clown is not unique to the West. It's stolen from imagery from these other cultures who are doing this practice for a specific reason. Ignorance of this law will not make you immune to this law. So be wary of people who dress in clown-like features, especially in the media. in the mainstream where they've been put in front of you on purpose. It's not organic. Nothing is organic about it. It's do not emulate them. Do not make idols out of these people. They are not your friends. They don't know you. They don't care about you. Okay, don't mourn them when they die. They probably haven't even died anyway. They've just changed character. Like it's like that's how the world really works. It's kind of they're playing you for a fool while dressing like one. You know what I mean? Like don't idolize the clown image as like it's something important. Stop watching the Joker rendition they come out with every 3 to 4, 5 years. Like stop it. Like and stop dressing like it at Halloween because you think it's edgy and cool. Like don't sympathize with that character. They're forcing it on us from every aspect of our lives. In 2023, clown fashion week in Paris, Spain, they were all dressing in the catwalks in clown clothes and aesthetics. Like they literally, that was the fashion style of that time. And it's kind of because what trickles into the outlets from these extreme catwalk fashion shows are clown-like aesthetic clothing, which we're going to see probably very soon. And it's kind of, they're trying to get us to dress like this. They're pushing it on us on purpose. And we're just supposed to think it's nothing. It's not nothing. It matters.
We had the
it really
craze,
matters.
didn't we, over here in the UK? I don't know if you had it over there, Stein. In America, had it. People just dressing as clowns and just standing there at night in the middle of streets and in the middle of roads.
2016.
I remember that.
2016. That's it. Yeah, and it became a very weird time.
Well, they tried to say, "Oh, this is just a promotion technique for It." The reboot of It coming out, and they tried to pull the same excuse in the 80s, in 1986. Because the same thing happened in the Boston region of America, and it became a phenomenon where it spread and it was happening everywhere. It's not the first time this happened in 2016. It's happened in the 80s, and the police were inundated with phone calls in the 80s from people saying that people dress like clowns everywhere. And it's like, no matter what the police did, they could never find anybody. They were always gone. They disappeared.
Yeah.
Stories of them turning up in vans and trying to steal children. Things like this were going on. These mass hysteria. They called it mass hysteria. Like the people just went crazy and thought clowns were everywhere, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
we could never find them. It was always a mystery. But they always turn up and there was never anything there. It's like trying to cook, because obviously things were different then. Easy to cover these type of things up, you know. But it seems like a mass child kidnapping event happened where people dressed like clowns were rocking around in vans, you know. But they tried to blame it. Oh no, this is it's way after the fact. They're saying, well, you know, Stephen King's book was just coming out at the time, and it was probably some kind of viral marketing campaign for that. And it's kind of, well, actually, no, the book had already been released about 2 years prior to that event, so it had nothing to do with it. It was nothing to do with it at all. Like
even if it's a marketing stunt, that's quite a sick.
Yeah, I know, right?
And not like sick and like, yo, this is sick, bro, but like sick and actually like fucking.
It was the 80s, man. It was a wild time. Things were different back then.
Yeah,
you get away with
you understand it, Stan. You understand it. You weren't there.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I've just heard things about. I've heard things about the 80s, man. I'm not liking it, you know. But either way, in 2016, it happened again. The clown sightings happened. And the news was lit up with stories everywhere, and every single news station was talking about it across the Anglosphere. You know, it didn't matter whether it was national news or local news; it was being covered, and they made sure you heard about it. You know, and I that's what sparked my imagination on this whole topic, and made me start my research that event, because I'm like, hang on, I know enough about the occult and my research into the conspiracy to know. Nothing gets on that box in the corner of my living room unless you want me seeing it. It means something. This means something. The clown means something. And that's what started my inquiry. And this is what it's led to. A book, 50 episodes online on YouTube, laying it all out. And the history's there. It's real. It's a real documented, referenced history. Yeah, the clown is 100% a Freemasonic invention. Modeled after the demons of India specifically, actually, in the 1800s, 1800 exactly is when it first appeared on the stages of Britain, and it was introduced by the son of a famous Freemason of the time, Charles Dibdin. And Charles Dibdin was intimately linked with India. His brother was a member of the East India Company, colonizing it at the time. He was going to move out there and live there before his brother died. He knew India very well, and he knew what the Rakshasa demons looked like, and he basically just dressed the clown like that in British pantomime.
Yeah.
Just on a whim. Changed it one day. from plain white servant rags to psychedelic fractal pattern clown monster. Like, no one's explained anywhere in any memoirs why, just that it happened. But when you look into context,
he felt like it.
Yeah, but if you look into context and then just look at the Rakshasa demons on the temples in Thailand, it's like, oh, that's where he stole the costume from. That's where he got it from. It's obvious. It's not even like hidden slightly, you know. Clowns have always been a representation of demons. Always.
Yeah.
There's never a time that wasn't the case. And you can imagine that wasn't. Oh, you say, well, I do it to make people laugh. I don't care. You're wrong. That's not what it is. It's never been that. It never was that. You've just imagined this delusion in your head that it's something harmless for children, but it never was and never will be. It's kind of
They're never depicted as that either, are they? Really, in any kind of media you see, clowns are never depicted as these nice things that jump around and make you laugh.
Once upon a time, maybe when film and TV first appeared and circuses were still popular, maybe. But even then, they were terrifying nightmare fuel when they did appear.
Oh yeah,
and it's kind of the illusion that kids like it is like it's a myth. It's
the
a
lights go dark. This music comes on. This big loud music, and all of a sudden these strange men are walking in, like all this kind of business. All extremities are all exaggerated. It's terrifying.
It is. It is. So wow, I just just real quick looked up clown horror movies because it's been a thing. You know, they're very popular in horror movies. This is a curated list on IMDb, created 5 years ago. So in the meantime, I'm sure there have been more. But on just this list, there are 210 titles of like clown horror movies. 210, and that's 5 years ago. Like in the meantime, you know, more have definitely come out. I have
I bet Killer Clowns from Outer Space is on that list. That terrified me when that came out.
Oh man, yeah, no.
Just the cover of that terrified me.
It's getting a reboot.
Oh, of course it does.
It doesn't need one. It was terrifying enough at the
No, it's getting a
start of
reboot.
it.
I think Ryan Gosling's involved with it, I've heard.
It's always Ryan Gosling.
And the game just got released about 2 years ago where they made a computer game based on the original 80s version. But even that, again, is telling you the truth. And even, the theory goes that the reason they look this way, the Nephilim, is because their parents were fiery flying serpents. They were seraphim angels who mixed themselves with human women. So dragons mixing themselves with humans, and you get a colourful, bright, scaly-looking snake-human hybrid thing, which is a giant, you know. And it's funny enough, on Killer Clowns from Outer Space, his shadow is a giant reptile lizard that eats a person. So they're hinting it there, you know, and obviously they are they eat humans, you know, and the monsters from like another dimension or space, as we call it, you know, from a different place. Tongue in cheek wise, they've been telling us for a long time. I mean, there's even an episode of Supernatural, season 2, I think. One of those episodes. Maybe you can look it up, Steen. I think you might be able to find it. But basically, it's about the circus comes to town, and a little boy sees a clown. A little boy goes home with his parents after the circus, and goes home. The clown's outside the house. The little boy lets it in. The clown goes on to murder the parents and eat the parents. And because it was vampires rules, he let them in. Okay, he let it in, he invited it in. Turns out that the boys get involved, and they do some investigation and they find some old tomes, and it says, what we're dealing with here is a Rakshasa demon from India. And it actually said, that's word for word verbatim, everything I'd already uncovered and made when I wrote my book, But the thing is, no one told me about this. Yeah, no one told me about this Rakshasa connection. I hadn't watched this episode that was released in 2012 or 2 or something like that. It was like 20 years ago this was released,
So this is the clown in question.
Yeah, so I independently made the Rakshasa connection before I even heard of this, There you go.
Season 2, episode 2. Everybody loves a clown. Supposedly,
but this TV show was telling
Criminal Minds as well. That had a clown in it. Similar kind of story to this one. The parents get killed, but the children are left alive. I watched it a couple of days ago. And it's a clown that's done it on a traveling circus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, common themes.
So
They're telling
the
you, but I just thought
episodes-
the brazen nature of this to tell us clowns are modeled after the Rakshasa demons of India. But this show is saying, oh, we're dealing with a Rakshasa here. There's only one way to deal with it. You got to do this magical spell or something. You know, they've made it fictionalized. They've made it kind of like, you know, for TV. But they told us in this show in 2006, clowns, Rakshasas, the same thing. And I independently discovered that years later when I wrote my book in 2017, I wrote the book in 2023. I published the book in 2023, you know, 2024. I wrote it through 2023, published in 2024. Then somebody tells me, oh, have you watched this episode of Supernatural from like two? And I'm like, are you joking me? I've just
That's
literally
my years
written
of research.
Yeah, well, I've never watched Supernatural. I wouldn't have known about that. And it's such an obscure episode, obscure reference, but they're laughing at us. They've been telling us this for years. And this is the thing. This is one of those, like, you know, when you see an occult symbol, suddenly it's everywhere. You know, the whole 9/11 phenomena. When you see, well, after the events, we discovered that they've been telling you about it through media for like decades that they're going to do this, you know. This is what this is like. Now I've uncovered what the clown actually is. It's everywhere. It's in everything. They've been telling us for years. They've been laughing at us about it, you know.
As a Supernatural as a show, it's my wife's absolute favorite show, so I can't watch any episodes without her. You should absolutely kill me if I do. But like it is famed for being very very occult accurate, if you will.
Well, there you go.
You know, a lot of the entities are like known entities. A lot of the symbols that are used are actual occult symbols. The show is well known and you know, well liked for that as well. And it's quite typical. Like it's season 2, episode 2. Wonder what the that's on purpose. That has to.
What, 22? It's a Freemasonic number. It's a multiple of 11. So that the guys.
Yeah, it's one of the well-known master numbers. Brings together the spiritual and the material. It trusts its instincts to identify areas where its efforts are needed most.
Well, like I said, the material clown that we dress like represents the spiritual thing, which is the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. They just call the Rakshasa is the Indians' name for cannibalistic, man-eating monster, lizard, hybrid, human, giant monsters. Okay, that's what the Bible calls them, Nephilim. You know, but the Hindus call them Rakshasa. You know, they have their own names, like the offspring of the rainbow serpents to the Kimberley regions of Australia are Wanginas. But it's the same thing, the offspring of serpent gods mixing with the earth with human women, you know. Everyone has their own story for it, you know. Typhon, the sea serpent god monster of Greek mythology, mixing with Echidna, the female serpent siren, which is a woman that's been turned into a snake person, create Gorgons, which are giant, big, grinning, bulging-eyed, wild, red-haired, giant man-eating monster things. You know, it's kind of, they all have their own story, their own geographical style, aesthetic, you know, their own names, but they're all talking about the exact same phenomena. And that's what the Nephilim are, and that's why they look this way. And Supernatural was just telling us blatantly in that episode, and they thought, oh, no one's going to know about this. No one's going to figure it out. You know, it's probably what they thought like 20 years ago. But here we are 20 years later, and I'm like, nah, we figured it out, bro.
Yeah,
this is what's really going on, you know.
Back in 2006, yeah. Times were, you know, very different back then. Like the internet wasn't as prevalent yet. I mean, it was there, but like it's nowhere near the information source that it is now.
Conspiracy was still focused on primarily uncovering secret societies, or you know, the political corruption,
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, that's
stuff.
what I mean.
You know,
early
like
days.
yeah, the early days of the conspiracy, back
Yeah.
in my day.
It was. That was it. That was when it really blew up. Prior to that, it was very underground. It was about books, wasn't it? And like meetings and conventions, very small meetings. Maybe you had someone doing a PowerPoint presentation somewhere. Maybe you know what I mean. You go and see it. Like things blew up probably after the 2006 period, 2010, 2011 kicked in. Then there was like a new age renaissance of conspiracy, and there was things like the spirit molecule coming out, and the very Gnostic-y type belief systems were coming in everywhere. And then I don't know, there was like a huge revival after the 2012 end of the world phenomena that sparked all sorts of things. And then Mandela effect, flat earth kicks off, and it's just one thing after another, and it became this huge culture, and the internet was really getting its stride. And now we live in 2025, and everybody has a conspiracy podcast.
Yeah,
Like that's
true.
like it's a
Yeah,
completely
very
new
true.
world,
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. We're all up there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm gonna go and do my podcast after this one, live. So it's changed, and there's funny memes going around everywhere now. It's kind of like they're predicting there'll be no more conspiracies in 2030 because everything's coming true, like scientists predict. It's like there's nothing like left, like it's all
there's
been
nothing
proven
left.
right.
Yeah.
No more conspiracy anymore, nothing but the truth. It's just out there now. I can believe that.
No, I've said that recently, I believe, either on my show or another show, that like us conspiracy theorists were up by what, 10, 20 to none or something.
Something like that.
It's it's getting ridiculous. And in 2030 we're running out of conspiracy theories. I think that's rather late.
It depends if we're still alive in 2030. There's
Okay.
another conspiracy for you.
Well, if you've seen the Deagle report, it's not looking good for us, but
It's not looking good at all.
maybe that's another episode. Maybe we'll talk about that another time. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. We just had the NATO top here in the Netherlands, of course, which was just so great.
That's so
costing us
great.
taxpayers, like literally costing us taxpayers €1 million a day. Businesses in like a 1 or 1.5 kilometer radius had to close, no compensation whatsoever. Like you're closed now. Okay, why? NATO. Any compensation? Fuck you. Colleagues of mine that couldn't get to work because the roads were closed. I had to take like a major freaking detour, which like ended up me traveling to work. Like usually it takes me half an hour. I did like 45 minutes or so, like 45 minutes going back home with all the traffic, like hour 15. Well, because of NATO, the in the Netherlands, like, no, we have the capacity and the space to have all of them here. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, where's your army? What are you going to do about it?
That's fighting talk.
Well, no, that's NATO's attitude. Is like, fuck you. What are you going to do about it? We're just these
True.
people do walk around with free reign as though they own us. They do. That's how they treat us. That's how they see it. That's literally how they see it. They're making all the decisions about what our future's going to be without us having any input whatsoever. These meetings all the time.
Yeah, NATO is the military branch of the one world government, of course. So it is basically like you and what army?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm an optimist when it comes to all this type of thing. Really, I think they are losing a bit of grip lately. I think I think people are seeing through it fast, which actually is also kind of worrying because it probably means they're gonna do something stupid, panic, and maybe slip up and make. But at the end of the day, I mean, they have a limited lifespan. People only live for so long. The people that are in power will not be here forever, and maybe we can thank God for that. There's a limit to how long these people can live for. That's why they're striving for immortality with transhumanism. Because it's only so much they can do in their own lifetime before it's cut short. So maybe that's it.
Getting 6 heart transplants. the old
Yeah.
Rockefeller.
And they still only live till like maybe 89 if they're lucky. It's like, you know,
I believe the old Rockefeller lived to like 101, but it took 6 heart transplants for him to do so.
what kind of life was that, eh? What was the point?
Yeah, no, just no. Like, if that's what it takes, just let me go. Just
I know, right? I know, yeah.
no, thank you. Wow, we touched on quite a lot. Actually, went off on quite some tangents as well.
One of
but
our
yeah.
tangents. We like our tangents.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. So yeah, Paul, where can the good people find your stuff, find your book, your keep going research?
Sure. So I'm based on YouTube primarily, just understanding conspiracy. Just type it in, look for this little logo you see here, and you can't miss it. My book is on Amazon. The Nephilim Look Like Clowns. There's an entire series playlist on my channel called The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, where it's all visually laid out for you over like 50 episodes. You can watch all my research as I began it in 2016. My whole thought process from then to now is all mapped out fully. I would say the later episodes, the production quality is much better. I'd say the early episodes are the ramblings of the insane. So please bear that in mind when you watch them.
Yeah.
I get a bit more refined as the years go on, but those early episodes, I am just like, I'm like, what is this? What's going on? How is this happening? Look at this. Look at this. You know, like it's, but as the years go on, I have a 5-year break from 2018 to 2023, and I come back and I did another like 30 episodes where it was a lot more professionally laid out, you know, and the production quality. I'm a lot calmer. That break did me some good. I was a lot calmer after that break, and then I wrote the book, like I said, 2 years ago. It's been published for a year now. The second book's on the way. The Nephilim Look Like Clowns Part 2, The Now, which will be about the art stuff we talked about today, the industry, the media, the music, the modern day examples of how this is happening, as well as all the ancestor spirit worship cultures around the earth. So I'm kind of already a third of the way through that book. I'm about to publish the audiobook. That's just up for quality checks now with Amazon Audible. So the audiobook for the first book will be coming out soon, so you can get that as well in the next week or two. And that's really it. I do have a new channel called Understanding Creativity, and that's been out for about a month and a half now. It's doing quite well. It's almost at 4,000 subscribers. It's got a few presentations on there, but we get into the occult art world specifically and the art history. And I get lecturers and guests on there to share what they know about the history of certain famous artists. So come and check that out if you haven't already. That's just a little side project, a passion project of mine, you know. And also I am on all podcast formats. I have my own podcast called The Truther Therapy Sessions. Every Sunday, you can watch that live on YouTube, but audio does go on to Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast from. So, and actually anything I do, other than other people's shows, obviously, goes on there. So you can always watch everything in podcast format if you want to find me. But YouTube's the place, guys. So there we go.
Awesome. We will, of course, make sure that all the information, all the links are in the description of on YouTube, on the podcasting sites, wherever it's wherever it is gonna go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any last words from you?
Yeah. Don't trust a clown. There we
That's
go.
right.
Nice simple one. Don't trust a clown.
Keep it simple.
There's a reason why you call people clowns.
There's a reason.
Yeah,
And
there's
why
a
we're
reason.
living in a clown world.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and on that, piece of great advice, I say thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all very much for listening. Do remember to, of course, like, share, and subscribe. Maybe you know someone who still thinks that clowns and circuses are innocent. Share this with that someone. Shatter their dreams. Sorry, not sorry. If you are listening to this on the podcasting platforms, specifically Spotify and Apple Podcasts, do leave us that 5-star rating. It helps out so much more than you think. And it is a small gesture, but does a lot. Find Across the Pond on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We have our own website now, right?
We
That's
do,
up and
yeah,
running.
we do, yeah.
What is the web address for that again?
www.acrossthepondpodcast.co.uk.
And that is going to be the main hub for the podcast, where you can find everything, all the episodes, all the other interesting stuff that we do with Across
Every
the Pond.
episode's on there.
Already, well, look at him, hard worker.
Hard work.
Hell yeah. Thank you again, all. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Paul. It's been great, and we will see you all. We will talk to you all next time. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye now.
I want you to get together